Okay, today's daf is daf Lamed Gimel. We stopped yesterday by Rabbi Zvid Mishmei Rava. So the Gemara now brings the third nusach in the words of Rabbi Yesi Rabbi Chanina. Rabbi Zvid Mishmei Rava Masnei Aha. Rabbi Zvid, in the name of Rava, taught Rabbi Yesi Rabbi Chanina's words as following. Now, the word umotza, we had yesterday the pasuk V'ashayave Yisrael Bayar. This person that comes into the forest to lachtev eitzim, to chop woods, v'nitcha yada begarzim nichras eitz, v'nashar barzim min eitz. Then the pasuk says umotza Yisrael v'meis, that the head of the metal, or let's say the piece of wood that was chopped, struck his friend and he died. So the halach is he has to go to Ari Miklat. So he learns out from here, from the words umotza, it speaks about somebody who killed b'shegeg. So prat l'mamtsis atzmei. So this comes to exclude. Here we're talking about somebody who kills unintentionally. It comes to exclude somebody, it says motza, which means and finds his neighbor and dies. This comes to exclude a person who, let's say, introduces himself, in other words, goes into danger, in which case a person who kills b'shegeg, he's pater from galus. Bikan Omer Rabbi Eliezer ben Yankiv. From here Rabbi Eliezer ben Yankiv says, Mishiyatza even mitachas yodei. If a person whom a stone, let's say, left his hands. He threw a stone, left his hands. And what happened? And now another person stuck out his head, let's say, from the window, and he got hit by this stone. So the halach is pater, the person who threw, unless he got killed, the person is pater from galus. Now, Amar Rabbi Yesi Rabbi Chanina, he says pater mi galus v'chai b'arba dvarim. Now, if he dies, taka, the person who threw it is pater from galus. But he's still going to be chayiv in the four things. As we said yesterday, the four, right? The nezik, tzari bebeishus, yeah. The 4 out of the 5, he's still going to be chayiv if he damages him. Why? Because the guy threw a evan in a place where people are there, which he shouldn't have done that. Okay. Now, so the Gemara says this: Man de masnei laha, the person who taught the statement in reference to the brisa, so kol sheken ekamaisa. The more so would he teach this in regards to the first case, a person who entered. Let's say we spoke about this workshop of the carpenter. Or man de masnei laha kamaisa, but the person who taught this on the first part of the brisa. So then on avah pater legamri, it could be over here. It'll be pater and gansin. Right, because he could say that I did nothing wrong. What I didn't know somebody would stick out his hand over there. Okay, Tana Rabbanan, we learned that in our brisa. Now the Gemara brings different cases of somebody who went into the reshus of somebody else and he got damaged there. So a very interesting case. Tana Rabbanan, Pailim Shabol Itzvol and Scharim mi balabais. Let's say you have people that are salaried laborers. They get paid and they came to their employer's chotzer to now claim the wages from the homeowner. They want to get paid. They worked and they come to the balabas's house at night. They want to get paid. Now what happened? This balabas had a great share. When the gachan sherish balabayis, and what happened? The homeowner's ox gored them. When the shachan kalbish balabayis, or let's say the guy had a big dog, and the dog bit these chaver. He didn't know who they were. He bit them, yeah. Vames. They don't have it so much here, but growing up in California, every house used to have, beware of.
Or dog.
They have it here, Ishtampo? Yeah, I never seen it. Here, every house where there, beware of a dog. Beware. Kabbalah's pun. So so what happened was the homeowner's either ox or the dog now gored them or bit them, but mace, and the worker died. The halach is pater. He's pater. Why? Because they had no reshus. Now when we say pater, it means pater from koifer. Rashi says pater from koifer. Why? Because they had no reshus to go over there. Now a person is not chayiv koifer if his behema killed somebody who went into the reshus shalei midaite. That's the halacha. Now, the ox obviously gets killed because he killed somebody. But the owner doesn't have to pay koifer. That's the din. So again, Pailim Shabol Litvon and Scharim Balabais and Gocha Shesha Balabais and Shachan Kalpasha Balabais for Mace, Pater is Pater from koifer. Achenim Amr, which is Rameir, other people say, Ashoyim Pailim Litvon Scharim Balabais, that these laborers are allowed to enter the employer's chotzer to claim their salaries from their homeowners. That's the machlekes tanaim. So what's the case over here? If the employer can be found in the city, So my time the acherim. What's the reason why the acherim will hold him chayiv? Meaning to say, what does he say? That where else should the balabas? Where should they find him to get paid? Go to his office. Go get paid. You have to come to his house. So the Gemara says, 1 second. If he works in Manhattan, so go to his office in Manhattan. Go get paid. And if this is where he works. Let's say in the house, or he's found at home. Then my Tana Kama. Why would the Tana Kama say he's pater? They entered. They're entitled to their salaries, and they need to get paid. So why would the Tana Kama say he's pater? So the Gemara says like this: we're talking about a case that this guy, it's talking about a man who can sometimes be found in town, and sometimes cannot be found in town. Sometimes he works in the city, sometimes he doesn't. Now, what happened? The laborers came at the gate of the courtyard, and he said to them the words like this. He said, "In, yes." Now, what does yes mean? So he rang the bell, and said, yes. So what happened? Mar savar in ul tol mashma. Now, the Chachamim hold, the first Tanakama hold that when you say the words in, you're saying come in. So you have the shus to come in. Mar savar in, and the other Tana holds that when you say in means kum aduchtoch mashma. The first Tanakama holds that the word yes means stand in your place and I will come to you. So since he didn't give them permission to enter, he is pater. So how do you? What does in mean? When the guy comes, you ring the bell, and the guy says yes. So
okay, I'm home. I'm coming down.
Coming down, or he just says the word yes.
When you knock at the door with someone, you don't open the door.
Open the door, you come in. Exactly. So he says the words yes. So the
yes means come in. You're welcome.
So Achedim says you're basically saying in means kumarain.
Yeah.
So now that my dog or whatever, my shirt damaged you, so you're chayiv to pay.
Right.
You can't go to Golas. The first Tanakama holds that your pater holds. Well, I don't have to go to Golas. Why? I told you in to wait there. You
mean stay there.
Stay there. In Kumaduchtach, stay in your place. Don't go anywhere. He didn't give them permission to enter the house. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Everybody watching, again, a big thank. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, go ahead.
No.
Yeah. Yeah, Rashi says B'mirma. Yeah.
Says N.
Yeah. Jesus b'cheircha ani Yaakov. Yeah. Exactly. Anyway, I wanted to just again big thank you to Yosef Safran. Every night he comes, sets the share up. So everybody watching, listening through podcasts or the share, it's a big thank you to him. We're very appreciative. Okay, Tanya Kamah Daf in. Kum adut chetir mashna. We have a brisa that when you say in means stay in your place. Tanya we learned in a brisa. With regards to a worker who gets a salary, he entered into his employer's courtyard to claim the wages of the homeowner. So what happened? The guy's ox gored or the dog bit him. So the halacha is pater. The homeowner is pater. He's pater. Why? Even though he came with reshus. Am I pater? Why is he pater? Rather, it's not because in the case where the guy called him at the gate, I'm like in, and he told him yes, which means wait there. In, what does in mean? So, basically, in short, if somebody rings your bell and you have a dog, and you tell and the guy makes himself Hamish and comes in, and your dog bites him, so it could be you're off the hook, or off the hook from Gullus. Okay, next Mishnah. This Mishnah until the fifth Perek, we're going to go back now and deal with dinim of when a share damages another share. So we have the din of when a share damages, let's say through keren, we said through goring. When a share tam, so the halacha is just when a share the first 3 times damages another share, he has to pay a chatzi nezek. A 4th time has to be nezek shalom. So now, what's the case over here? Over here, you have shnei shvarim tamin. The Mishnah says shechavlu says that you have 2 oxen that are both tamin, and they each damaged each other. So, what's the din? Mishalmin b'meiser chatzi nezek. they pay half the damage with regards to the difference. In other words, like this. Let's say you have ox 1 and ox 2. Ox 1 damaged ox 2, let's say $100. Ox 2 damaged ox 1, $40. So there's $60 there. So he has to pay half. The ox 2 has to pay owner ox 2, who has the damage of, let's say, $40, and this guy's a damage of $100. So there's a spread of 60. So he has to pay half of it. That's the din. So Shnei Shvarim Shechal Zeh Misham b'Meiser Chatzi Nezek, the owner of the ox that caused the greater damage pays the other owner half of the difference. Now Shnei Mu'adin, if both oxes are Mu'adin, so then the owner of the ox that caused the greater damage, Misham b'Meiser Nezek Shalom, he has to pay the full cost of the damage with regards to the difference. So let's say ox 1 caused the damage of $100, and ox 2 caused the damage of $50. So there's a $50 spread. Ox 2 has to pay ox 1 that $50. Now, echad tam ve'echad mu'ad. In the case of, let's say, one ox was a tam and one was a mu'ad. Now, mu'ad b'tam mishalem b'meis nezek shalom. If the ox, which was a mu'ad, caused greater damage to the tam ox than in the reverse, so then the halacha is he has to pay nezek shalom. The owner of the ox, which is a mu'ad, pays the full damage of the damage with regards to the difference. So ox, let's say, 1 was a mu'ad and ox 2 was a tam. So the mu'ad ox, let's say, damaged him 100. The tam ox damaged him 50. So there's a 50 spread. He has to pay nezek shalom 50. Now, what if tam b'mu'ad? What if tam b'mu'ad? What if the tam of the ox caused a greater damage to the mu'ad? So then mishalem b'meiser chatzi nezek. So the owner pays half the damage with regards to the difference. So let's say
So he pays 25.
he pays 25. Yeah, exactly, the 2 tam. So to 2 people who injured each other, so the person who did the greater damage, he has to pay the full cost of the damage with regards to the difference. Why? Because by a person is always considered a mu'ad with regards to, right? Adam mu'ad la'ilam. Next part of the Mishnah, Adam b'mu'ad ba'adam. If a person caused damage to a animal which was a mu'ad ba'adam, and the ox, which was a mu'ad, caused damage to the person. So whichever one side caused the greater damage, mishalem b'meiser nezek shalom, he has to pay the full cost of the damage with regards to the difference. Adam b'tam ba'adam. In the case of a person who caused damage to a tam ox, and the ox, which is a tam, caused damage to the person, Adam b'tam ba'adam. Adam b'tam mishalem b'meiser nezek shalom. So the person caused greater financial damage to the tam ox pays the full cost of the damage with regards to the difference, right? Because we're saying that a person is always considered a mu'ad. So this person, other mu'ad la'ilam. So this person that caused damage to the tam, he has to pay the owner of the tam and nezek shalom. Now, tam ba'adam mishalem b'meiser chatzi nezek. If the tam caused greater damage to the person, so the owner pays only half the damage with regards to the difference. Kiva says the owner of the tam that injured a person, shalom b'meiser nezek shalom, has to pay the full damage, the difference, the full cost of the damage with regards to the difference. In other words, Rabbi Kiva doesn't distinguish between a tam and a mu'ad in a case where the ox injures a person. This is only when the ox injures another ox. So then there's a difference between tam and mu'ad, but not when an ox, exactly, not the other way around. When an ox damages a person.
Why did he only argue in the case that they damage each other? The wording that he used is because he was arguing about the case where Tom and a human damage each other.
Correct. Right. Okay. Now, with regards to the machlekes between Rabbi Kiva and the Chacham about a case where an ox injures a person like this, Tana Abanon was taught. It says in the pasuk, it says in regards to the Torah says in regards to a shir that damaged a person, the pasuk says, "Oy ben yigach, kamishpat hazeh yiyaseh," which means to say like this: whether it was gored a son or has gored a daughter, or ben yigach, a bas yigach, So the halacha is, according to the judgment, shall it be done to him? Which means, again, the Torah is telling us about a shir that damaged a person. Either he damaged a man or a girl, a boy or a girl. According to the judgment, shall be done to him. What does that mean? So he says, the Brisa says, Kimishpat shade b'shade. That means, according to the, as the judgment concerning an ox that causes damage to an ox, kach mishpat shade b'adam, so is the judgment with regard to an ox that causes damage to a person. Now, so just like it's with regards to an ox that causes damage for another ox, if it's a tam, he pays chatzi nezek, umud nezek shalim, and by mud there's a nezek shalim, af shade b'adam, so too a share that damaged a person. So tam mishalim nezek chatzi nezek. So if it's a shade which is a tam, he pays a chatzi nezek, umud nezek shalim. Very simple. Kamish b'tazeh yasolei. It's the same malachas as a shade. Now, Rabbi Kiva Eimer, no. Kamish b'tazeh. Rabbi Kiva says, according to the judgment, that the halacha with regards to an ox that gores a person means is katachtin, is judged like the case that appears in the lower pasuk. In other words, which pasuk we're talking about? In the pasuk of what we said weiter, which means kamish b'tazeh katachtin. The lower pasuk, the case of the ox, which is a muad, which appears in the next pasuk, v'lei ke'elyon, and not that that appears in the upper pasuk, the case of the tam. That's what he says. Because you have two psukim over here, right? You have pasuk sheshmois chaf aleph, pasuk lamed aleph. You had oy ben yigach, oy bas yigach, kamishpat hazeh yasaloi. And then you have the next pasuk is speaking about a muad. Right? So that's why pasuk, what is not a hekish. It says v'chiyigach sher isha ish v'meis v'sokol yisokol asher v'leyochol is pesori. Now v'im shor nogach mitmoil shil shem b'huad b'volav leishmenu v'hemes isha asher yisokol v'gam b'olav. And then oy ben yigach bas yigach mishpat hazeh yasoloi. So that's pasuk is talking about not the shur tam but the shur muad. Okay, that's how he learns it. So it's a simple machlekes. The Chacham say kamishpat hazeh yasoloi has the din of a shed. So just like a share, there's a difference between a shur tam and a shur muad. So it doesn't matter what a damage, that's going to be the halacha. And Rabbi Kiva says no. Kamishpat hazeh means not like pasuk chavtes.
Talking about actually.
But sorry, not like pasuk chavches, like pasuk chavtes.
Two psukim al muad, two psukim al tam.
Now, so he says, Yochem Shalom and Aliyah, you would think that since the case of an ox that gored a person is compared to the case of a muad, so the owner also pays from the Aliyah from the higher quality property, Tamalemar, therefore the pasuk says, he also loy shall be done to him, loy migufay mishalim. In other words, he pays exclusively from the proceeds of the sale of the body of the ox, but he does not pay from the superior quality property. Loy can be understood as referring to the ox. So it's like, in this case, it's like a shir tam, that we know the difference between a tam and a muad is tam pays migufay, and muad pays min aliyah. So according to the Chachamim, why do I need to have zeh? We don't differentiate between an ox that gores a person and an ox that gores an animal. So why do you have to say lamali? So he says the peitim ma'aber to exempt him from the four types of damages that one injures another person is chayav to pay. So you're emphasizing the comparison to the case of an ox that gores an ox. Where does he know that a person is pater from arbat dvarim? He learns it out, and the pasuk says, and if a man damages his neighbor, ish bam misay, what does it mean? A man injures his neighbor, but lo yisher bam misay. In other words, only a man who injures his neighbor is chayav b'arbat dvarim, but not when an ox injures his neighbor. According to the Chachamim, so he says, if I would learn it out from that pasuk, I would say that he is pater only from paying for pain. But for medical costs and for sheves and these things, I would say that he is chayav to pay compensation, and that he does not have to pay. Next Mishnah. The Mishnah says, Shei Shava Mana. Shei Shava Mana, Shenagach Shei Shava Masayim. You have, with regards to Shei Tam, was worth 100, let's say a mana, which is 100 dinars. A gourd, an ox, worth 200 dinars. And the carcass of the dead ox is not worth anything. So what's the din? Neitlas asher. Its owner takes the entire ox that gored it, since it's worth half the value of the damage. So again, you have a shir tam, which is worth 100 zuz, that damaged a shir which is worth 200 zuz, and now the nevela that it killed is not worth anything. So what's the din? The nizik takes the shade. He takes the shade of the mazik. So he has to pay him how much? He has to pay him a chatzi nezek, right? But the share is worth that chatzi nezek.
He takes the shore.
Takes the shares as payment. Yeah, the shadow is, and I guess this is obviously that he doesn't have money to pay, right? Obviously, he doesn't have money to pay, so he says, "Give me your ox." Oh, this is what the Mishnah talks about.
Isn't it that the person who's paying is allowed to choose whatever?
Oh, so this is, so now from the lashon of the Mishnah, it's mashma that the Baal Hashed, which is mazik, cannot pay the nizik with money, but he has to give the shed hamazik itself. So the Gemara says, Masnisim Mani, whose opinion is the Mishnah who rules that the person who's the nizik takes the ox immediately? So the Gemara says, Rabbi Akiva, this is Rabbi Akiva. Tanya, we learned in a brisa, Yusham Asher bebezdin. It says after it gores another, so the ox shall be appraised in bezdin before it is taken by the nizik. Divid Rabbi Shmuel. These are the words of Rabbi Shmuel. Rabbi Akiva Eimer, Huchat Asher, which means the share was already assigned to the owner of the dead ox as payment. And if the amount of damage is not contested, let's say by the owner of the goring ox, so you don't really need to do anything. So what is Rabbi Shmuel and Rabbi Akiva arguing? Shmuel Sover Bal Chevu. Shmuel holds that the owner of the dead ox is considered a Bal Chev, a creditor to the owner of the ox. And it's in money that he's claiming from him. There's no ownership of the body of the ox. Rabbi Akiva Sover, no, Shutafin. Rabbi Akiva holds that they are shutfin, they're partners. In other words, from the time that the Sher Tam killed the other Sher, the owner of the dead ox has now share of ownership in the share that damaged. The Gemara says, and they're arguing with regarding to this pasuk. Then they shall sell the live ox and divide its money. Shmuel Savar, Rabbi Shmuel says, the Torah is commanding Bezdin to evaluate the damage in this manner. Rabbi Akiva Savar lenizek umazik mazul rachmano. And Rabbi Akiva holds that the Torah is commanding the injured party that one is chai for damage to split ownership of the live ox without involvement of the Bezdin. What is the practical difference between the two as to whether or not they're considered shutfim? So the answer is this is the practical difference between them in the case of the injured party, which was makdish the ox to the Beis HaMikdash. According to the opinion of Rabbi Shmuel, till the Beis HaMikdash transfers the ox to the nizek, it still belongs to the owner, and therefore the injured party cannot makdish it. According to the Rabbi Akiva, the injured party owns it from the time of the damage, and therefore it's his to be makdish it. Boy, Nachman. So Rava asked Rav Nachman, Machlo umazik, Rabbi Shmuel Mao. If the one liable for damage sold the ox, so what's the halacha according to Rabbi Shmuel? Given Rabbi Shmuel Bal Chevu, since Rabbi Shmuel holds that the injured party is considered a creditor, a Bal Chev, Zuzu the Masik Lei, and it's merely money that he's claiming from him. So the halacha is mocher, is it sold? Or do I say that Kivon, the Mishtabel is nizik, that since the ox has already leaned to the choiv of the injured party, so he'll collect it if the guy doesn't have sufficient funds. So then lav kol kominei, it's not in his power to sell it. So Nachman says any mocher is not sold. But it was Tana Braisa, if he sold it, it's sold. So the Nachman says the injured party then collects it from the purchaser. So since the injured party then collects it from the purchaser, what's it sold? His right to collect, it negates the sale in Gansen. So where it says lididya, it's sold for the purpose of plowing. In other words, the purchaser may use the ox for plowing until the injured party collects it from him, and the purchaser is not required is not required to reimburse the injured party of the use of the ox. Okay, so the Gemara says like this.
Oh, he didn't pay for the rent for plowing.
Correct, for that time. Shma mina or shma mina, you can learn from here with her. Now, leiva meicher metaltlin, person who borrows money and then sells his metaltlin. So Beis Din gave it lamehem, the Beis Din can collect the chayiv from the property on behalf of the creditor. Because according to Rabbi Yishmael, this ox is only a lien for the chayiv owed to the injured party. So the chayda, we know the din is that you can't take metaltlin. Gemara says no. Shani hasam, there in the case of the ox, it's as if the owner of the ox is considered like the one who designated payment of the chayiv. Since the Torah specifies that the nizik collects payment from the ox, so it's a special din, it's a peitiki. In general, metalton that is sold by a bal chayiv cannot be collected by the creditor. Fred the Gemara, Rava says also avda peitiki. We have this din that if a person makes his slave an apeitiki, umacharo, if a person made a slave as a designated payment for a chayiv and then sold him, bal chayiv gave him imenu. The creditor collects payment from the purchaser. Whereas if one rendered his ox as designated payment and then sold it, then the creditor cannot collect it from the purchaser. Which this is Seisir, the previous statement that the ox is considered designated a repayment, and therefore if it's sold, the nizik can collect it from the purchaser. See, you can't do that. So the Gemara says, Eved, my time. What is the reason that a slave who was an apoitiki payment can collect from the purchaser mishum de'isdei kala? Because making a slave as a repayment is not common, and therefore it has a koil, has publicity. So the purchaser was therefore aware of this when he bought the slave. But now, Hainami, with regards to the ox, given the nagach, once the ox gored the animal, kol slave, there's a koil. The Torah not the Torah not. Kol islay. The Torah nagachno korle, as the public called it a goring ox, and the purchaser was aware that there was a lien over there. Therefore, the nizik can collect it from the purchaser. Taner tachlifa bar Bava Kamah Daf. He taught us the name of Ravo. Macharu, if he sold it, ein machar is not sold, and hikdishu, if he was makdash it, mukdash is mukdash. So the Gemara says macharaman, who sold it? Is it the nizik, or is it the injured party, or the one who's liable? Ilay mamazik, if it's the one who's chayav for the damage. Ilay mamazik macharin machar mani. So whose opinion is that he sold and is not sold? So Rabbi Akiva, the Omar, Rabbi Akiva says, huchlat asher. If the ox was already assigned to the injured party, v'ikdish mukdash, and then comes out that the ikdish mukdash is son Rabbi Shmuel Omar yusham hasher bebezdin. So how does this work? Ella, rather nizik, rather it's referring to the injured party selling. Now machar and machar mani. So then it comes out that he sold it, but it's not sold. That's Rabbi Shmuel. Ikdish mukdash is son Rabbi Akiva come out according to Rabbi Akiva. So the Brisa does not seem to accord with either opinion. So the answer is La'ilam Mazik. Really, we're talking about the one who actually, the one chayav for the damage. Divrei Hakil, and everyone agrees with this ruling. And the ruling that he sold and it's not sold is Afil Rabbi Shmuel. Even according to Rabbi Shmuel, the Hamashtabil Nizik, because the ox is leaned to the injured party, and that's why the owner cannot sell it. Now, Hikdish Mukdash, the statement that he's makdish is considered a hektish. Afilu Rabbi Akiva, even according to Rabbi Akiva. Mishum Rabavo, Dam Rabavo, Gzeir Shemayim no hektish yitzibulei opinion. Because we're worried the Chacham made Gzeira that people will say that hektish property can be removed from the ownership of the Beis Hamikdash without pedia. Therefore, this. Right, once it's hektish, so we're worried that inside Gzeira. That's why they. That's.
You get an estimate and you pay.
Right, because we don't want to, because it's a special din by hektish. Okay, Tanam Baram, we learned in a brisa. Sher tam shehizik, with regard to a sher tam that caused damage. So actually, Badin, before its owner stood in Beis Din, Macharo Machor. He sold it, it's sold. Iktishay Muktash. If he was Maktash it, it's considered Hektish. Shchot in a son of a matana, if he shechted it or gave it as a matana, so if it's a shirtam, whatever he did, it was done. It takes effect. Now, Mishaman Badin, once it stood in Beis Din, and now it's obligated to pay. The Nizek, so Mecharai and Machar. If he sold it, it's not sold. Hiktisha in a Hektish. If he was Maktash it, it's not considered Hektish. Shchot in a son of a matana, if he was Maktash it, it's not considered Hektish. Sorry, if he shechted it and he gave it as he gave it as a matana, they also like klum. It's nothing. Now, kadvu bal chayves vigavo. If now creditors of the ox, owners collected the ox first, ben chav ad shlei hizik, ben hizik ad shlei chav, whether he owned the creditors before his ox caused the damage, or whether it caused the damage before he owned them, they also like klum. They have done nothing. The fish emishtalmim elmi gufi, because it's paid only from the body of the ox, and it's therefore designated exclusively for compensation. The Brisa says, mu'id shehizik, with regards to a mu'id that caused damage, doesn't matter whether he came to Beis Din or not. Al din is mechar and macher, k'dish mukdesh chod son matana, asha also. Now, kod bal chevis v'gavo, if the bal chev came and took it, then ben shechav ad shlei hizik, ben hizik ad shlei chav, masha also. Why the fish ein mishtalim elam and aliyah? Because it's only paid from the aliyah. Therefore, what he or his creditor do with the ox takes effect. Okay, Amar Mar learns in a brisa. Macharu machu, if he sold it, he sold it. It's explained the sale is good only with regard to the purchase of using the ox for leridya, for plowing. Now, hiktishi mukdosh, if he was makdash it, mishum de Bavo, this is according to the Bavo. Now, with regard to the statement of shchotu nesob matana, if he shechted or gave it as a matana, mashasha also, so he says like this: Bishleim and son of matana, mele that he gave it as a present, mashasha also lididya, fine as a plowing. El shchotu, but if he shechted it, how does it take effect? How does that affect the person injured rights? Leisul ishtalim mimseri, let him come and receive payment from the shechted ox's meat. Tanya, we learned in a brisa, chai. There says. The live ox, and the chai shchotim minayin. From where do I know that? Even if the ox, the owner's ox shechted it, pasuk says, then they shall sell the live ox, which is mashma mikol makim. Whatever the circumstances, the injured party is paid from the proceeds of the sale of the ox. So the statement was necessary only with regards to the diminished value of the ox due to the shchita. Now, although the value of the ox may no longer cover the damage, its owner is not liable to compensate the nizek beyond the ox's current value. This is to say a person who causes damage to another's lien property, pater is pater from paying compensation. Why? Since the property does not actually belong to the one who holds the shibud. So obviously, so my answer is there in the case where the one shechted this ox, which has a lien, he's pater, as he can say to him, I have not detracted anything from what is yours. He can say to him, I took only spirit from which is yours. In other words, he detracted only the life of the ox, not its physical body. And the one who causes damage to another's property which has a lien in it might be pater from liability from the things which are intangible. But generally, a person who causes damage to another's things which has a shibud on it should be chayiv. Therefore, Rav Huna teaches us that the one is pater from liability of all types of damages he caused another's lien property. So the Gemara says, Hanami Rabbi Omri. This Rabbi also said this. Person who burns another person's document, in which other people's chiyuv debts are recorded, is pater, although the owner of the document can no longer collect the payment from the property. So the Gemara says, in that case over there, he could tell him, there he's pater, because he could say, because the perpetrator to the damage can say to the owner of the documents, I burnt your paper, and I'm prepared to pay for that. But where he dug pits and ditches or caves, which is a substantial loss, the chayiv, he should be chayiv to compensate for this. Therefore, he teaches us no. The hocha keman, the chaver b'ber shichnam eres dami. Since this is a case that he dug pits, ditches, and caves, as shechted is considered a big, substantial loss. Kamer masha asa, and the Tana is telling us that what he did, he did. Now, the Gemara continues to explain the Brisa. If the creditor collected the tam first, so ben chab actually nizik, ben hizik actually chav, whether its owner owed them before the ox caused damage, or whether it caused damage before he owned them, the asvale klumi has done nothing. Why? Because he pays only from the body of the ox. Bishlei hizik actually chav. Granted, in the case of if it caused damage before he owned them, so nizak and kadmu, because the injured parties came first, and the oxes leaned to the chayv. Abel chav actually hizik. In the case where he owned them before it caused damage, bal chayv k'tim, the creditor collects it first. So why does he not have the right to the ox? So the Gemara says. So the Gemara answers and says. And the Gemara continues. Even in the case of the ox which caused damage before he owned them, nevertheless the creditor came first and took what rightfully owns him. So Shema Mino, you can learn from here. Learn from here that if the later creditor collected the chay before the earlier creditor, what he collected it is not a good collection. The Gemara says, and we'll conclude over here. I can tell you what he collected, he collects. And there it's different. Over there, if the ox, he tells him, if the ox is in your possession, but I have not collected it from you, the high Torah to ask him, the reason I would take it from you is that I am paid from the ox. Torah to ask him, I am paid from the ox that caused me damage. Therefore, the creditor cannot collect the ox, even if the chiv preceded the